Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Edmonton Oilers Throwback 2010 franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we started up the 2014-15 season, and I'd say it's been obviously a little bit of a weird start. Obviously, we aren't anticipating to make the playoffs this year, but we're 8-13-5, which is not too bad considering the state of our roster. It is obviously still developing. Right now, the main reason why we've been so good, though, it has been due to one man, and that is because of Andrei Vasilevsky, who has us as a top 10 defensive team. But you could definitely see our offensive depth scoring isn't super high end, so this is definitely an area that needs to be addressed eventually. I don't think it will be addressed this season, but it's definitely something we need to look into, is maybe finding more goal scorers, because at the moment I think we have maybe too many guys that are first, assist first type of players. Like, we brought in Dadonov. He seems to be simulating more like a playmaker than a sniper. Nyquist is a playmaker, Cameron's a playmaker, McKinnon's a playmaker, I think, but he does score goals. So if we could start to find more good goal scorers on this team, that would be nice, I think, for the future, because right now it seems like goal scoring is coming at a bit of a premium. Like, guys like Cameron only have 5 goals at this point, so hoping that we could find something like that in the upcoming draft in a few episodes from now. Also, our defensive core has been okay for the most part, but guys like Falk and Russell have been really bad defensively. But like I said, Vasilevsky has been the bright spot early this season so far. As you can see, he's 7-10-5, which isn't obviously great, but a .920 save percentage in his first 24 games this season and a 2.61 goals against average. So he's been really good, and if he continues like that, he could easily be maybe a Rookie of the Year candidate. I don't know if he'll be considered a rookie, though, because he played 20 games last season, but he's definitely taken a huge step up, and he's kind of reminding me of when we had Devan Dubnyk, and Devan Dubnyk was basically similar really good despite our team not being that good on paper. So hopefully Vasilevsky continues to get growth and continues to play good, and then hopefully we can maybe get a little bit better scoring wise. I don't say we need to improve drastically this season, but if we could improve a little bit as the season goes on, that would be kind of nice, just for the progression of the young players in our lineup. So with that said, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll probably make a small trade because we do have to still offload Lucas Pisa, and then we'll probably simulate like a day before the deadline, something like that, just to kind of get more of the season done and kind of see if this team's able to get that offense going a bit more, if that defensive play continues, that type of thing. So the first 3 and only comments are from Jared the Rabbit. The first one says, the 3 types of losses all in late October. And yeah, we had some interesting stuff near the end of late October, because if we go back here on the calendar to late October, you could see that we had basically a loss of every kind in these 3 games here. A shootout loss, a regulation loss, and an OT loss, all by 1 goal. So we definitely have hung around in some of those type of games that we normally would lose, but we actually found ways to get close to winning those games because of Vasilevsky's play. So hopefully, like I said, Vasilevsky continues to give us a chance to win games. I don't want to be making the playoffs, but I want to at least have good goaltending, kind of, so I could kind of see that the goalies are taking that next step in the defensive play, and then also the offensive core too, if it could start to find ways to score goals. Jared also says, Heavy Bullen on the Flames is wild, and yeah, this is a little bit weird having Nikolai Heavy Bullen being a Calgary Flame, obviously, because he's more known as a Tampa Bay Lightning player, in my opinion, but he did obviously spend time here with us in Edmonton at the beginning of this franchise mode, and now he's a low-end backup goalie at 41 years old. He has been actually not too bad so far this year. He's actually got a 6-1-1 record, also spent some time in Montreal and Detroit since we got rid of him, but it's kind of weird that the AI sent him down to the AHL for a little bit as well, because he wasn't actually on that Detroit Red Wings team that I think won the Stanley Cup in 2027. So it's kind of weird that he had a little bit of like a reconditioning stint, you could say, kind of maybe in the minors, and then the next year he was back in the NHL full time, and he's been okay since then. So I don't expect him to stay in the NHL much longer. He's probably going to end up being a retirement casualty at the end of the season. And lastly, Jared also says, this is close to when Panarin made his actual debut, and yes, I remember that because it was the same season as Connor McDavid, but obviously, yeah, Panarin making his debut this season, it's 1 year early, so it's not too big of an issue, but that is good to see that he at least took a while to develop, because when I made him a low-end player, but as you could see, what team was he on? Oh, it was Atlanta, not Nashville. Why did I think he was on Nashville? He has made the Atlanta Thrashers. For some reason, though, they're playing him on the fourth line over Brandon Segal, which is kind of strange, but at least he's making his debut already. He's got 14 points in 26 games this season, so he could definitely be a Rookie of the Year favorite by the end of the season if his numbers continue to go up. Obviously, playing fourth line ice time on 5-on-5 isn't great, but he's getting power play time. He's only averaging 10 minutes a game, but he is still doing pretty much just as good offensively as a lot of players on our rosters, so I expect him maybe by the end of the season to be getting closer to being like a top 6 forward for them. And then they'll obviously have to make a tough decisions with somebody like Bergfors or Ryder going forward in terms of trading, probably because Ryder's actually only signed for 1 year, so that's probably good if Atlanta doesn't re-sign him. I have a feeling for some reason they will re-sign him for no reason. And then Bergfors is signed for 5 years, making a lot of money, so I guess technically, yeah, Panarin will have to take over Michael Ryder's spot on that second line, which will make it a lot better, obviously. Maybe at some point they'll use him as a left winger instead, but I'm not too sure if they'll do that because I can be kind of dumb sometimes, to be honest. So, with that said, I think we're ready to make that trade with Lucas Pisa because we were looking at some potential trade options, and it seems like still Lucas Pisa has a lot more value than I was anticipating. Like, he's actually technically, on paper, he's our most valuable player that's in the AHL other than Fada, who's one of our future prospects. So, obviously, trading away Spiza right now probably makes the most sense. He's got, like, the same amount of value as somebody like Jakumov's, which I don't understand still why he has that value, because he's only a medium top 60, and he's already, like, 24 years old. So, we're going to send him to an Eastern Conference team. I'm not too sure which team yet, but I think an Eastern Conference team makes the most sense. A lot of teams are willing to offer us like seconds and thirds. Chicago would give up 2 seconds, but Chicago's obviously a really good team, so I don't really want to send him to Chicago. So I prefer to send him to a team that maybe is in the East that would give us a second or third. Like Montreal's probably still good, my guess, so I'm not going to send him there. There is some prospects in these trades, but I'd prefer just to trade straight up for a second and a third. The Rangers would be willing to give up a second, a third, and also Lang, who's the medium top 9 prospect. That might not be that bad because we get an extra prospect on it. Now, the Rangers, though, I think are also a good team, or they should be with Kucherov and all that. So I'd probably prefer a different team. Pittsburgh should be still good. It's mostly the good teams that would be willing to give up a second and a third. Tampa's kind of an interesting one because I feel like Tampa might not be super good on paper. Like, if we go to edit trade, what is their record at the moment? Like, is it a bad record? Yeah, they're 10, 12, and 3s so far. So for them to be willing to give up a second and a third, I think we got to make the deal with Tampa, and we'll send him Lucas Pisa. I think he should get playing time there. Let's double check just to make sure it's kind of realistic from their standpoint. Maybe not. They do have an injury to a defenseman in the AHL, so maybe that's why they'd bring him in. That's the only reason I could see at the moment. Nate Prosser and Rostislav Klasa are there too. So they don't really need a defenseman. They actually have a total of 8 defensemen playing in the NHL right now. So likely Stu Bickle would get put on waivers, I guess, if this trade went through. But I guess they're trying to just find a defenseman that works well for their top 6. And I think, obviously, Spiza being younger, they might prioritize holding on to him over somebody like Prosser, Klesla, or Bickle for that matter. So even though they got a little bit of a logjam on defense, let's send Tampa Lucas Spiza, take back a second for 2 years from now. So this isn't even for this year's draft, which is kind of interesting because I don't know how good Tampa's going to be in 2 years. And then also a 3rd round pick, which is for next year's draft, not this upcoming one. Actually, no, it's this year's draft. Yeah, because we're only in December. So a 3rd for this year, a 2nd for next year. Let's just do it. Send Luka to Tampa Bay. So there we go. Lucas Pisa has been dealt. Nathan McKinnon and the other guys are losing morale, but that's okay. We could still also trade away Hodgson this year. That's a guy that we could look into flipping away at the trade deadline or something like that. Also, we could potentially still trade Evgeny Dadonov at the trade deadline, but it really depends on if his value is going up and if we're going to be a playoff team or not. So I don't think we're going to be a playoff team. But it would be also interesting to kind of hold on to Dadonov because he's been a good player so far for us and he's only 25. So we got to make a decision with him in the season regardless. But let's continue to simulate and we'll see if this team's offense improves at all. Obviously, if it doesn't, it's not a huge issue. But I'm kind of hoping that our offense could start to find itself a little bit more just because those young guys, I don't want to stunt their growth and all that. So let's go to the end of December, so to January the 1st. see what we do in this month of action. Is Stu Bickle was immediately put on waivers. I knew that was going to happen after that trade because they just didn't really need him. So we trade Spiza to Tampa. Bickle gets put on waivers. We don't need him because he's just basically a physical enforcer kind of defenseman. Yeah, he's a DFD, very physical. He's not going to do much for us. So let's just decline that. But that would have been kind of funny to claim the player that basically we could have got, I guess, in a trade or something if we really wanted. So we beat Minnesota. We lost to Dallas by 1 goal. We beat Philadelphia. Solid start to this episode. There's a win over Minnesota. Nashville is a loss. And David Savard has been injured with the neck strain. Let's just go replace player on that. Detroit's also a win. So a pretty interesting start to this episode in terms of wins. As Robin Regeer's on waivers, we're not going to claim him. He's dropped off a lot at this point. George Fata in the AHL has been injured with a fractured jaw. That's unfortunate considering he has elite potential. Let's go replace player. So we lost to Washington and Buffalo. Nashville's a shootout win as David Savard is already back. Seems like this team is doing better offensively though this month though, because some of those losses we had like still 5 goals in. So some steady improvements potentially coming for our offense as well. Cameron's up to an 87 now, so I have a feeling the offense is getting better. I have a feeling, but it could be wrong. It could be wrong. Hannu Toivonen's on waivers. We don't need Hannu Toivonen at this stage. Let's go a couple more games. We just beat Phoenix as well. And Fada's already back for Springfield, because of course he is. This AHL team has too many good players on it though too, so we have to definitely make some decisions probably at the trade deadline with which guys should be here in the NHL next year. Like Fada honestly could be an NHL player next year. He's actually off to a really good start this year too in the AHL, so we got to decide on who we want next year in the NHL and who we want to potentially trade away. Like Fada and Yakupov both could potentially be NHL bound. Same with Barchi. Lotti could be bound. Same with Jenner. Like our entire bottom 6 could get reworked a bit if we really want to. Stefan Elliott on waivers. I don't think he's that good, right? He's only 23, which is not bad. He's 74 overall at this point. I'm not going to claim him, but he's an okay AHL offensive defenseman, basically. We lost to the Islanders 5-3, but that's okay. Rangers 5-2 loss, and Marcoux has been now injured with an upper body injury. Let's go replace player. That's only for a few days. And we beat Anaheim 7-4, so our offense is definitely getting better as the season's going on. We are now 15, 19, and 5. And what's our offensive rank at this point? We were dead last before. We have moved up to 27th now, so that's better. Our goals against per game has gotten worse, though, but we do still have a top 5 penalty kill. As you guys can see on the left-hand side, let me actually move this. Boom. You can see we're 4th on the penalty kill, 18th on the power play, 15th in goals against, and 27th in goals for. So, yeah, we're starting to give up more goals, but we are also scoring more goals. So it's kind of balancing itself out, which is not a huge issue. Vasilevsky still has a .914 save percentage too, so he's still doing relatively good for this team, losing obviously a good chunk of games so far this season. All right, well, let's see. Do I want to take a look at any stats right now? I don't think so, because we're going to go to a day before the deadline, and I guess want to see continuing on like how this team's going to do the rest of the season so far. So let's continue to go towards the trade deadline. We'll do the trade deadline in next episode, but let's see if this team can continue to find that offensive game a bit. Maybe play a bit better defensively. Like, I don't want it to fall off too hard, but Cece's apparently back. Was he injured in last episode? Because I honestly don't remember. He was not. I guess it was just a day-to-day type of thing. Alright, well anyways, we got a game against St. Louis coming up. Can we find a way to beat them, as Marcoux is now back, of course. A lot of injury notifications as per usual. We'll take Riley Nash back out, but at least that gave Riley Nash some games. Marcoux could come back in. I do kind of want Marcoux more as a third-line center than Burmistrov. Like, Burmistrov's a good player, but he should be maybe utilized more like in a situation like Dadonov as a left winger. He does have good face-off stats, though. But when we have McKinnon and Cameron, it's kind of a logjam down the middle at the moment. So maybe we have to start getting some guys to only play the wing, if possible. All right, let's continue anyways. The simile, we did just lose to St. Louis 6-1. So definitely inconsistent play, but I think this team's definitely taking some good strides this year. We've been able to find ways to win more. Probably we're going to win more by the end of the season than last year. And we're definitely losing a lot more games in extra frame too. So our team is at least giving themselves a chance. We've had now points in 4 straight games here. Back-to-back shutouts. There's 3 straight wins. Toronto is a loss, though, to end that winning streak. But you can see what I mean, though. Like, the team definitely shows glimpses of winning, which is good for this young team. There's another shutout that month. So if we have Vasilevsky's found his game, we are now 21, 23, and 7 at February the 1st. So, yeah, this team's definitely not going to be the worst team in the league, but we are definitely finding ways to win games, which is impressive, I think. Especially with like how bad our team is still at this stage. Obviously, it's a good young team, but it still needs work. If we look at our stats now, we're 26th in goals for. We are 14th in goals against, 18th on the power play, and our penalty kill has moved up to number 2 in the entire NHL. So that's really good to see that our team can play good on the penalty kill, because obviously the penalty kill is kind of like the toughest place to defend. So I am pretty impressed with our penalty kill at the moment. Alright, so I guess we'll continue assimilating, because I think right now I like the way this team has been going. Vasilevsky's down to a 913, but he's still staying above a 910 right now. His goals against average is still below 3s, so there's definitely some good defensive positives to take away right now. Obviously, just got to find ways to continue scoring more goals, but we have been winning more games as of late. Let's continue to assimilate to a day before the deadline, and we'll take a look if there's been any trades throughout the league this season. And then we'll look, obviously, at some player stats and all that. That's a pretty substantial injury for this point in the season, especially when we have to maybe think about trading him at the trade deadline. Dadonov has been injured with a strained hamstring. He is out till Valentine's Day, which is at least 2 weeks. So let's go replace a player on that. Vancouver, we beat them too. Damn. Our team's on a good little run as of late. There's a loss to St. Louis, though, and San Jose. Florida's also a loss. So yeah, our team definitely goes on those like kind of nice little runs, and then they end up going on a losing streak. But like I said, that's at least a glimpse of good stuff. Like, it's not like we need to be winning all these games during the season, but as long as we show like some positives to take away to next season, I think it's fine. 3 more games: Vancouver, Columbus, Nashville. Let's see how we do during this stretch. Another loss is St. Louis has fired their head coach, which is kind of surprising because I thought they were doing good since they beat us 2 times, but guess not. BJ Crombie was playing in the top 6. I don't know if I like that idea, but I guess that's our only depth option, really. So let's get Dadonov back in here. And hopefully he's ready to go. Again, let's stop the sim because I can't see what's going on. We just beat Columbus 4-3. All right. And Nashville is going to be a 5-4 loss. But at least that's a close game. Like, you could definitely write that off as an okay game for our team. All right, 3 more games: Vancouver, Anaheim, Atlanta. Vancouver is a 4-2 loss. Yeah, I think Vancouver's taking a big step up this year, so that makes sense. We lost 7-1 to Anaheim, but we do beat the Thrashers. 2 more games to go through, and then that's where we'll stop simulating. San Jose and Chicago. Probably both losses, my guess, because both teams should be good. Yep, lost to San Jose 3-0, and Chicago is a 3-2 shootout loss, so we did get a point against a really good team there, so a day before the deadline, we are 24, 31, and 8. Definitely not going to be a playoff team. So that is going to make an interesting decision for us if we want to move out from Dadonov at the trade deadline or not in next episode. But in terms of our team stats here at this point of the season, we are 27th in goals for, 20th in goals against. So our goals against dropped off a lot. However, the special teams are looking still okay. 19th on the power play is not great, but 2nd on the penalty kill is fantastic. So it's just our 5-on-5 play that needs a lot of work, I think, and that should help our team in terms of developing more so. Who is currently the best team in the league, actually, at this point? I'm kind of curious on all that stuff, even though it doesn't matter right now. Right now, the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers have already clinched playoff spots a day before the deadline. Both of them already played in the high 60 games range, but Pittsburgh is already 52-11-3. God damn. So yeah, Pittsburgh is primed for a first round exit or maybe just cruising to a Stanley Cup. The Rangers making it this year is good though, because last year they didn't make the playoffs, and it looks like Kucherov and all those guys are finally taking that next step for them. But yeah, the Penguins look like a filthy team based on that goals for, 4.2, 2.45 goals against, 24.6% on the power play, and penalty kill of 85%. So yeah, the Penguins could end up being a favorite this year. They're 10-0 in their last 10 games as well, so that's good to see. Where are we in terms of the entire league, actually, though? We are a bottom 10 team in the league. We are 24th currently. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Toronto's second last. Phoenix is last. St. Louis is third last. Surprised Detroit has fallen off this fast, but I guess it kind of makes sense. Because in real life, I'm trying to remember when they last made the playoffs before they had their streak end. I know they lost, I think, in the first round at Tampa that year, but I'm not sure what year it was. It might have been like 2017. I don't know. I can't remember. Some people have mentioned, obviously, when Detroit last made the playoffs. I don't remember what year it was, but they are definitely going into rebuild after all those old guys are dropping off and retiring. So that is interesting. So there's that. Let's take a look at some stats so far and see what our team is doing. Cameron's actually getting much, much better as the season's going on. 52 points to lead the team. Damn. Yeah, Cameron might be one of our new favorite players on this team. I think he's already probably one of my favorite players regardless. But yeah, he has had a very good last whatever many games we've simulated, like 40 games. 52 points plus 7 still on this team too, which is impressive. And he's already got more points than last year. More goals, more assists. Yeah, Cameron is looking like the real deal here. And I think it's good that we gave him that extension already for 8 years, because I think he's going to be a really useful player once he actually gets into the playoffs and all that. So shout out to Cameron. McKinnon's on 44 points, 20 goals, so he's been a good goal scorer for us, but he is minus 26. That first line's getting ripped apart, I guess. Jacobovs has been fantastic too, though. 38 points, 26 goals for Jacobovs, which is more than last year. So I think Jacobovs is very close to being a top 6 forward for us. Or actually, I think he already is a top 6 forward for us, but maybe even a first liner. He is plus 10 right now as well. Burmistrov on 24 points, not too bad. Minus 13, though, kind of sucks. Kadri's been getting better a little bit too, but I don't know if he's going to be here for the long haul. Marcoux on 20 points, pretty solid. 6 power play points, 3 short-handed points, and 3 short-handed goals. Damn, he's looking like a really good penalty killer. Like, in his career, he already has 6 short-handed goals and 7 short-handed points. Like, this guy could end up becoming like a JG Pageau of this team. So I do like that a lot, actually. That's really good to see. Left wing side of things, Nyquist is on 41 points. Good stuff from Gustav Nyquist. I'm glad we locked him up for 4 years. Hagelin 18 points, Applicator 10 points, but Nyquist's plus minus is trash. But this team has been bad defensively, I guess, in the most lines, except for the second line. Right wing side of things, Dadonov's on 48 points and plus 7. Now that's going to be interesting if we hold on to him or we trade him away. He's only got 7 goals, which is not what we anticipated when we brought him in because he's a sniper. But 48 points is fantastic. So I guess I could look at Fine Trade and see what teams would give me for him, but it's either we trade him or we maybe find a way to extend him in the offseason, or we let him go to free agency, which obviously he's going to probably demand a lot of money based on how he's playing. I'm thinking trading him might be the best option for this team, but it's hard to say. Especially with Toffoli being a third-line guy right now, he could be a top 6 forward next season, so Epperle on 35 points is good. Toffoli on 27. Crombeen had 4 points in 6 games and was plus 4. So that second line has definitely been the most impressive forward line. Because 2 of those guys are leading the team in points. Jankomovs is not too far off from being third in points. And all 3 of those guys are plus. Meanwhile, everybody else that's played in our forward group pretty much is minus. So shout out to the second line for being the best line. From a defensive standpoint, we have Petrie on 18 points, minus 6 only, which is probably good considering the rest of the team is trash. Fulk 17 points, Zherdev on 15 points. I don't mind that for his overall in age, considering he's a good goal-scoring defenseman. Russell's got 7 goals, which is kind of strange, but 12 points. Halinka on 8 points, minus 10. Savard 6 points, and Plant had a point in 3 games. All right. Goal scoring wise, or not goal scoring wise, what am I saying? Goalie wise, goddamn, man, I'm overtired or something. Vasilevsky still has a solid enough stat line, but his stat line definitely has been getting worse as the season's gone on. But we have been finding our offense more, so I don't care too much. He does have a 907, which is decent enough for how this team's simulated. And a 3.04 goals against is a little high, but like I said, he's been still decent enough just because this team obviously is still going through a rebuild. So So there's that. Let's take a brief look at the league leaders as well, just for fun. Right now, leading in points, Malkin and Crosby already have over 100 points, and they've only played 66 games. And Justin Williams, too, for that matter. I know the Penguins are one of the best teams in the NHL, or the best team, I should say, in the NHL, but goddamn, how does Malkin have 72 goals in 66 games and 125 points? Oh my god. Well, Malkin is going to be probably your Art Ross winner, likely, and your Richard winner this season. I think there's no question about that, but that's absolutely insane. If the Penguins lose in the first round, goddamn, man, all three of those guys almost have 30 plus power play points too. Crazy. Well, shout out to the Pittsburgh Penguins for winning the President's Trophy, because that's absolutely disgusting. Like, literally, Malkin's leading by 20 goals and leading by 15 points. Like, he must have had an 8-point game sometime this season, right? Like, let's look at the game logs for fun, for some extra stuff. He's had a 6-point game this season. That was a regular season game. He had 5 points. He had 5 points. And a lot of 4-point games as well. God damn, man. Most goals he scored in a game was 4 against the Blues. Crazy. Oh my goodness. I don't know how much he's going to finish off with in terms of points. Like, we might have a new crazy high total in the league for points. Like, right now with 125 points in 66 games, he's basically on pace for 155 points in an 82-game season. Absolutely crazy. In terms of defensive points, nobody's point per game, but Slava Voinov's leading the league in points, which is kind of weird. You also have our former guy, Ryan Whitney, and you also have Drew Doughty there as well. So, interesting. John Carlson, too. Okay. Kind of the realistic kind of guys you'd normally see up there. I mean, Goligoski might be the strangest one, but Goligoski was solid offensively at times, so guess it makes sense. Carlson only on 44 points. How is PK Subban doing? Because PK Subban should be better maybe for this time period too. 36 points. It's not too bad, I guess, but he is doing worse than Lyles. Best goaltender this season so far in terms of wins is Fleury. Not really a surprise. Fleury and Price and shutouts. Save percentage right now is Henrik Lundqvist with a .917. And goals against average, it is Fleury. It's probably going to be between Fleury and Lundqvist for the Vezina. And best rookie this season, Carter Verhaeghe, 38 points in Colorado. Raquel has 36. Yeah, damn. This is a really interesting season, though, so far with how teams have simulated. I don't remember how good the Pittsburgh Penguins were in real life in 2014-15, but obviously 2015-16 and 2016-17, you know what happens. They win the Stanley Cup back-to-back years, so will be interesting to see if that's actually the case in this universe or not. Alright, so now that we've briefly seen that, let's take a look at some potential trades for next episode by going to the find trade option first and foremost, and we'll look at the actual trading block. But if we look at our trade values on our team right now, obviously McKinnon, Kamer, Fata, all those type of guys, Rosa, aren't trade baits. But the one player that is probably majorly trade bait is Dadonov. His value hasn't gone up, which is kind of surprising. If we offered a open block trade, teams would be still willing to give us pretty much the exact same thing. There is the Bruins willing to give us Sharma. I know people wanted me to draft Sharma when we thought he was a low bottom 6, but they would be willing to give up Sharma and a 5th for Dadonov. We could definitely take any of these type of deals though for him. Like, I honestly don't know which one I would choose, but we could trade him away. We could just try and hold on to him in going into next season, but I think there's a good chance that trying to re-sign him might be tough with how good this team's done this season. It's not been that great, so he might honestly want to leave this organization. So let's look quickly actually at his contract situation here. Like, what is he demanding right now from this team? Is it too much money? Is he have low organizational interest? His contract interest is not super high. Does only want 4.75. He does like that organization a bit, it looks like. But if we wanted to get him on a 4-year deal, it looks like we'd have to drastically overpay him to like over $6, maybe over $7 million, which is what we're giving to guys like Cameron. So by that logic, I'm literally thinking the best bet is probably thinking about actually trading him away. Even if we don't get the best return for him, it might be worth just honestly getting rid of him at this point. We also probably would be underneath the cap floor if we trade him, I think, so we might need to take back some salary. So if we go to propose trade, let me just see if we'd be actually under the cap if we were to add him to a potential deal in next episode. Let's see. Oh, no, we would still be above the floor. It's mostly because I think of the offseason decision to sign, what's his name, Crombeen to all that money. Huh. Yeah, I think we actually might be able to deal him away, which is kind of nice. So we could do that, or we could still try and hold on to him and hope that we could re-sign him in the offseason, but it's a tough decision because he's been on a line that's done really well this season too. So let's take a look at the trading block now and just see if there's any potential interesting trade options. We'll also briefly look at the draft class again too. But in terms of the trading block, let me just remove my face so you guys can see all the details and all that. But Anaheim's just got a bunch of veterans, which is not something we're really looking into right now. Atlanta, there's some medium 9s and low 9 prospects, but nothing crazy. There's Sharma, 70 at 20 now. Has he been playing already in Providence? He has. 11 goals and 15 points in 60 games. It's not bad. But do we really need another player like that in our forward group in the AHL? Probably not, to be honest. But it would be interesting to have Sharma, but it might not make sense. There is a medium elite 22-year-old, but he's 68 overall only. So this guy is definitely going to be a bust, I think, at this point. Aside from that, Buffalo's got more veterans on the block, which, like I said, we're not looking into too much. Calgary, more veterans. Actually, there was some young guys I just saw. Who was it? Hinestroza, 76 at 20 is not bad, but we don't need 4 prospects, really. So I shouldn't even really pay attention to 4 prospects. Just more defensive prospects would be the main thing we need. But yeah, I don't really know what we want to get potentially for Dadonov, if we just want to get picks or what. I think picks are probably the best bet, just because we already have a lot of forward prospects. Unless we could find a team that would be willing to give us a good defensive prospect, we can maybe make a trade with them. But most of the stuff that's on the block right now is veteran-based. And like I said, we are definitely not looking to make ourselves a playoff team this year. So, for defensive prospects, there's guys like Tucker Pullman, but he's not really anything at all. So, not going to really trade for somebody like that. What about Minnesota? Nope, Palmera only. Montreal, this Sagan guy's a forward. Don't care too much about forward prospects unless you guys give me a reason to bring one in. I mean, there is still, like, Nashville has Cox, like I said. He's not getting much of a chance to play there. He's 3 years in the AHL, and he was point per game when he played in the NHL, but we don't really need forwards at all. We already have kind of too much as it is. So, yeah, defensive prospects or picks, I think, are the only return I would prefer if we were to trade away Dadonov. Kind of funny to see Corey Schneider in New York. Rangers are willing to trade still people like Kelly and Reimer, despite them being so good this season. Like, these guys shouldn't be on the block if they're going to be a playoff team, unless they're trying to upgrade those areas, I guess, but kind of strange, in my opinion. The Ottawa Senators, no real defensive prospects. Seems like most teams are only willing to give up forward prospects, not defensive ones. JVR is a pending UFA at the end of the year, too. That's another interesting kind of player that maybe we could look into in the offseason if we want to bring in somebody young. But we do have a lot of AHLers that should make the jump next season instead. So we probably don't really want to bring in somebody like that. This Arkhipov guy's also... Actually, he's in the NHL. I thought he was in the AHL. 28 points on a good Pittsburgh Penguins team. I'm kind of surprised they'd be willing to flip him. But it could be just they're looking for an upgrade as well. So maybe that's why he's on the block right now. San Jose, just some vets. Kind of surprised on that because they've been good. St. Louis has Halak on the block because obviously Halak got dealt from Montreal and his contract is just coming to an end this season. So maybe he's going to sign with a team like the Islanders like he did in real life. What else we got here? Tampa. I wonder if Halak's going to get dealt to Washington, though, because obviously he used to play briefly in Washington. Didn't he also had his rights traded to Buffalo before, but then he didn't play with Buffalo? I feel like that was the case, but I can't remember. Maybe he played in Buffalo. Honestly, don't even know at this point. Alright, so that is the trading block. So now that we've seen that, let's take a brief look and see if there's been any AI trades in this episode too. I don't feel like there has been because it's usually at the actual trade deadline. And yeah, there has been no trades so far at this point. So that's good. What else? We need to take a look at the draft class, I guess, just to see what is out there. So it's just a standard draft. It's nothing crazy. Unfortunately, there's no franchise player that we could say is Connor McDavid. But yeah, Wong's still supposed to go first overall. Likely we're going to be drafting in the top 10 this season. So we could get ourselves a defensive prospect this year like Climby, who might be a medium 4. Or there might be other steals and stuff like that. But it looks like it at least has some good defenders in this draft class at the moment. Let's also sort this by potential just to see if there's any steals we could pin for the draft, even though that's a couple episodes away. But let's just see if there's anybody interesting. A lowly two-way defenseman, and it's another Marcoux. I don't mind to have two Marcouxs. And I could call them Marcoux instead of Marcoux. But Reese Marcoux is a lowly, 5 years out at 19, so not the craziest, but we might as well try and look at him. He's definitely going to be like a late pick to steal. Aside from that, Chuck Fye as an offensive defenseman. We don't really need OFDs, but we'll pin him anyways because he could be a low lead. Laliberty might be a low lead too, but he's 19. So there might be some low leads, but they might not be the best ones out of the gate. Like, they might be those type of project low leads for the most part. All right. Anything else we want to take a look at? Trying to remember. Let's see. I don't think so. How is the AHL team actually doing out of curiosity? 40, 19, and 5. Our AHL team is having a year. Not really surprised, though. Let's take a look at how good they are in the league and also their player stats, too. Just so we can see if there's anybody maybe worth promoting this season if we make a trade. So our AHL team is currently the 4th best team in the entire AHL. The best team right now is the Manitoba Moose. Or I will call them the Meese. And then in terms of the player stats in the AHL right now, it's mostly our forwards leading the way. George Fata has been the best player, and he missed some games, so that's good to see. Sven Barchi's up there, Lotti. A lot of our top prospects are producing really good, so there's a good chance a lot of these guys could make the jump for next season, which is exciting. And then from a defensive standpoint, Safronov's got 29 points. Obviously, he got relegated back to the AHL, but he should be back in the NHL blue line maybe next season. He is already 23, though. CC 22, VC 14. Not bad at all. Some good stuff. And a goaltending. Dorset's been outperforming Tuomainen, which is kind of weird because Dorset was a free agent signing. Tuomainen's obviously a bit years older. He's up to a 70, though, so maybe there's a chance Kai Tuomainen might make the NHL at some point. But he's probably not going to become that elite guy that we were expecting. All right. Is there anything else we've got to take a look at before I end this episode? We looked at draft class. We looked at the trading block. I don't think there really is. Because I don't think... Let's actually look back at our contract situation again here. I don't know if there's anybody else I'd be willing to trade other than Dadonov in next episode. Because he's a UFA. Everybody else is an RFA. Like I said, we could still move on from a guy in the AHL like Hodgson too. If his value's good enough. So maybe Dadonov and Hodgson get moved out. Barchi I would probably like to utilize next season maybe. But it's hard to find a way to fit him in potentially. But yeah, we don't really have a lot of UFAs. So most of them we could probably just let go to free agency. The only one we really have a question on is Dadonov. Mackey's up to a 71. So he's going to be AHL bound next year on the defensive core. So that's good to see. And yeah, Tuomainen's an RFA at the end of the year too. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Edmonton Oilers Throwback 2010 franchise mode. So in next episode, we will have the trade deadline. We'll see what type of trades we decide to make, if we decide to move out from Dadonov or not. I think it's probably the best idea to move out from him. He doesn't want an extension here. And then also his contract, if we did re-sign him, would be probably too much. He is a good fit here right now, and he's been helping out Cameron quite a bit, so that's a little bit worrisome that I would trade him away, but I think it's probably the best move for our team right now is to probably move out from him, and obviously in the rest of the season just kind of like hopefully dwindle a little bit more in the standings, maybe get a higher up pick. If not, we kind of will still get a good pick regardless. So anyways, let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next time.